What's good, y'all? Now, if you've been following our channel, you know I'm a huge fan of Ross Scott, the legend behind Freeman's Mind. I grew up watching that Machinima series, laughing my ass off at Gordon Freeman's inner monologue. In fact, our own voice actor Left 4 Dead 2 Machinima series, The Dead Don't Listen, is heavily inspired by Ross's work. I even got an email chain with the man himself. I might show y'all someday, but I'm gonna hold on to that gem for now to keep you hooked. Point is, I respect Ross as a creator who's passionate about video games and his craft. He started from the grassroots YouTube scene, no corporate sugar daddy, just sheer love for gaming and storytelling. And that passion shines through in everything he does, from Freeman's Mind to his crusade to save old games. Ross is the kind of YouTuber who turned his passion into activism. Case in point, Stop Killing Games. If you haven't heard of it, SKG is this movement Ross launched in 2024, after Ubisoft basically murdered one of its own games, The Crew. By shutting down the servers, my man Ross saw that and said, hell no, this ain't right. He created StopKillingGames.com and a whole initiative dedicated to preserving games after they go offline. He's fighting to make sure that if we buy a game, we own it and can still play it, even if the servers go dark. He calls the practice of shutting down online games an assault on consumer rights and media preservation. Bro even compared it to movie studios in the silent film era burning their own films after the showings so they could recover the silver in the film stock. In other words, literally destroying culture for a quick buck. Ross has been on record calling games as a service fraud. And honestly, I ain't gonna lie, he's spitting facts there. The Stop Killing Games, SKG movement blew up with gamers because it's just common sense. We pay for these games. Don't snatch them away forever. It quickly gathered hundreds of thousands of supporters and multiple petitions across the US and EU. By now, it's over 1 million strong, and even governments and big publishers had to sit up and pay attention. Ross went from making comedy videos about Half-Life to basically leading a consumer rights revolution in gaming. That's the power of a passionate grassroots YouTuber, y'all. So, with Ross clearly fighting the good fight, why on earth would any game developer be against that? Like, who wakes up and says, no, I'd rather keep killing games? Enter Jason Thor Hall, better known by his studio name Pirate Software. This dude is a YouTuber / streamer and a game dev, and for some mystifying reason, he decided to publicly oppose Ross Scott's Stop Killing Games initiative. Yeah, a game developer siding against preserving games. Sounds crazy, right? That's like a doctor being like, yo, maybe we should let people die. It's less work. It got a lot of folks heated, including me, and today we're diving deep into why Pirate Software, I'll just call him Thor here, might have taken this stance. And spoiler, the answer might have something to do with him being what we call in my hood, an industry plant. Picture this as a Sunny V2 style breakdown, but with that Ghost Squad flair. We got receipts, a bit of conspiracy spice, and plenty of roast. So grab your popcorn, this finna be a wild ride. Before we get to Thor and his shenanigans, let's appreciate the angel in this story. My man, Ross Scott. Ross is the epitome of a grassroots YouTuber made good. He started out humbly, making niche gaming videos for the love of it. If y'all ever watch Freeman's Mind, you know Ross isn't in it for fame or money. He's in it because he loves gaming and making content. Back in the mid-2000s, he was practically a one-man studio voice acting and editing machinima by himself. He built a loyal fan base through authenticity and humor. No fancy sponsors backing him, no daddy's connections, just pure grind and creativity. Fast forward to 2023, 2024, Ross uses that platform he built to speak out on something that's been pissing gamers off. Big companies pulling the plug on games we purchased. When Ubisoft shut down The Crew, an always online racing game, and even started revoking people's digital copies after shutdown, Ross had enough. He basically said this is bullshit and launched Stop Killing Games to call out this practice. SKG's goal is simple. If a company ends support for a game, they should do it responsibly by giving us an offline mode or releasing the server code or something so the game isn't just gone. I mean, imagine paying $60 for a game and a couple years later it's unplayable, and you can't even legally host a fan server. That's the shit Ross is fighting. He's even drawn parallels to preservation of films and other media, highlighting how ridiculous it is that games, a younger medium, are being lost to time due to corporate decisions. This movement gained massive support because, honestly, most gamers are on Ross's side here. Nobody likes seeing their favorite games get axed. Thanks to Ross rallying the troops, petitions have reached over 1 million signatures, and it became a serious topic in the industry. Heck, Ubisoft's CEO felt pressure to respond with some PR spin about nothing is eternal, basically saying, tough luck, we can shut games down if we want. Ross clapped back at that nonsense, saying maybe the CEO is playing dumb and misrepresenting SKG's goals. Ross made it clear nobody in SKG is asking for publishers to support games forever. We're asking them not to destroy games people already paid for. Preach! All right, now let's switch gears and talk about Jason Thor Hall, aka Pirate Software, who I'm gonna go ahead and cast as the demon in our little angel demon narrative. Now, I ain't calling him a demon just for opposing SKG. I'm saying it because when you line up the facts, this dude's rise in the industry looks hella suspect. In music and hip-hop culture, we have a term for some people who blow up out of nowhere with heavy backing: industry plants. Basically, an artist who's marketed as if they're a grassroots, self-made talent, but behind the scenes they got major industry connections grooming and propping them up. You feel me? Let me give y'all some examples from the rap game. And these are just opinions shared by a lot in the community, don't come at me. Lil Mabu. Kid came into drill rap with crazy resources. Turns out his pops is a big CEO or something, rich as hell. Ice Spice. Blew up super fast. Rumors that she had label backing early on, plus having a father in the industry. Jack Harlow. Industry support out the gate. Got cosigns and marketing like whoa. Drake. Yes, Drizzy started on TV and had huge cosigns. Hardly an underground come-up. Lil Nas X. Old Town Road felt organic, but then the machine kicked in hard behind him. Sam Smith. Tom McDonald. Sabrina Carpenter. Disney Groom. I could keep going, y'all get the point. These artists had adjacent or direct connections that gave them a turbo boost to success, even if on the surface they seemed to just pop up. In my culture, we side-eye that and call it an industry plant situation.
And for streaming content creation, bruh, I firmly believe Pirate Software is the little Mabu of streaming, an industry plant in the game and content world. Let's break down why I and many others feel this way. Dad is very connected, so get this. Thor's father is Joy Ray Hall. And if y'all are Blizzard fans, that name might ring a bell. Joy Ray ain't just some Blizzard employee. He was there at Blizzard from damn near day one. Blizzard Entertainment, originally called Silicon and Synapse, formed in February 1991. Joy Ray Hall joined the company in September 1991. Do the math. He was practically among the first hires. Likely one of fewer than 10 people in those early days. That's like joining Apple when it was in a garage in 1976. You're in the inner circle from the start. Joy Ray literally helped Blizzard build its foundation. He worked on classic games, Rock and Roll Racing, Lost Vikings, OG stuff, and then specialized in video production, cinematic. Dude helped found Blizzard's cinematic department and led their machinima team, creating all those epic cutscenes and behind-the-scenes videos we used to love. He was basically a creative director for Blizzard's media output for 23 years, 1991 to 2014. Bro was making the making of DVDs for StarCraft, producing BlizzCon video content, you name it. South Park lore. Remember that legendary South Park episode, Make Love Not Warcraft? The one with the World of Warcraft guy, the greasy degenerate player who has no life and slays all the characters. Guess what? That character was literally modeled after Thor's dad, Joy Ray Hall. I'm not even joking. The Blizzard team worked with South Park creators on that episode, and Joy Ray was part of that collaboration. The South Park dudes basically drew the ultimate neckbeard gamer villain as Joy Ray. And here's the crazy part. Pirate Software, Thor, is proud of this. He brings it up on stream often, like flexing that his dad is the guy with no life memes from South Park. Bruh, if South Park depicted my dad as a morbidly obese, Dorito dust covered, Mountain Dew bottle pissing, level 100 wild neckbeard, basically the boomer from Left 4 Dead with a keyboard, I would take that to the grave. I would not be telling a soul, especially not my stream viewers. But Thor out here like, yeah, that's my pop. All comfortable like. That tells you something about his mindset, comfort with his inside of life.
Nepotism? Ali like Thor basically grew up with cheat codes to the gaming industry. His dad's at Blizzard for decades, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Mike Morhaime and the South Park creators. Has massive connections. You think Thor didn't benefit from that? Come on, son. In fact, Thor himself got a job at Blizzard eventually. He worked there around 2004 during WoW Vanilla. No shade if he had the skills, but having dad as a Blizzard OG certainly doesn't hurt your resume, right? So, Pirate Software isn't just some random dude grinding from zero. He literally had access to top industry folks from childhood. It's not only likely, it's damn near impossible it didn't happen that his dad advised him and opened doors. I bet good money that Papa Hall coached Thor on media and marketing when he set off on his own. Like, imagine having a Blizzard veteran who ran cinematics and promotion as your personal mentor. That is an advantage few can dream of. Instant fame with some suspicious boost. So Pirate Software, the brand, for a while, Thor was a pretty small-time YouTuber streamer. He was mostly known in indie dev circles for working on his game Heartbound. By, say, late 2023, he had maybe 13K subscribers on YouTube and a couple hundred viewers on Twitch. Then bam, seemingly overnight, he blew the hell up. I'm talking going from 13K subs to over 1 million within a matter of months and eventually hitting 2.3 million within a year. Like, hello? That kind of explosive growth is insane. How'd he do it? Well, turns out he, and likely a team he hired, figured out how to game the system, particularly the YouTube Shorts algorithm. He basically became the YouTube Shorts page for gaming dev content over that period. Thor started pumping out multiple short videos a day about game development, programming gags, streamer jokes, you name it. He treated YouTube Shorts like TikTok, flooding the feed. And get this, he has some clever, some might say scheming, tactics. One, he wouldn't even notify his own subscribers when posting a short. He disabled send to subscribers so the short would mainly hit the algorithm for new viewers. Two, he adjusted his video format to maximize retention, like putting his webcam or content at the top bottom depending on what hooks people more. He even used this trick where he'd doodle in Microsoft Paint on screen as he talked, almost like a ghetto chalkboard to keep eyes engaged. Y'all know those TikToks where they play Subway Surfers or Family Guy clips under someone talking about something unrelated? Yeah, that kind of ADHD engagement hack. Thor basically did a big brain version for his content, drawing silly stick figures or diagrams in Paint while explaining dev stuff to visually reel you in. And apparently, it worked. This generation is cooked, bruh. And about that team, rumor has it, and this came from folks analyzing his rise, that he had a whole squad helping him crank out content. Not just him solo, which again, most small indie devs on YouTube don't have the funds to employ editors or social media managers, but our boy Thor, he either invested heavy or had backing, because he was treating content creation like a full-on operation. This is what I mean by industry plant vibes. Regular dude from the mud doesn't usually have the knowledge or resources to pull these moves so quickly. Thor did. On top of that, he was getting love from Twitch corporate. People noticed that Twitch kept putting Pirate Software on the front page frequently during that time. If you've ever streamed, you know getting front page placement is a huge deal. Instant viewers, and usually reserved for either big partnered events or folks with connections. Kinda suspect, right? It's as if someone at Twitch HQ said, push this guy. Combine that with the algorithm domination on YouTube, and Thor's growth starts looking less like luck and more like a well-orchestrated marketing campaign.
So in summary, Pirate Software's rise wasn't exactly the grind in obscurity for years story. It's more like the perfect storm of nepotism, strategy, and possibly inside help. In rap terms, he had the equivalent of a major label deal, radio play, and industry connections, all while appearing like just another indie dev streamer who magically got popular. Industry plant, baby. Or at least industry assisted. And yo, I'm not even hating on success. Get your bag, optimize that SEO, do your thing. But don't front like you're just one of us scrappy creators when you've got a silver spoon and a turbo boost under the table. Dude is out here looking, and I gotta say it, like a Walmart brand moist critical while riding a wave of algorithmic luck. For real, have y'all seen Pirate Software? We'll put a pic up. Picture Charlie, moist critical, the popular commentator, but like if you photocopied him at the local Walgreens 3 times over, each time losing a bit of quality. And then whatever blurry meme results you got, that store, bam, off-brand Charlie achieved. Same long hair, scruffy look, white tee vibe, but discount version. Visual note, show an image of Pirate Software side by side with Moist Critical for a quick laugh. Tell me they don't look like high-res versus low-res copies. All right. Let me chill on dude's appearance. Suffice to say, Pirate Software came into 2024 not as some humble newbie, but as a rapidly rising star in streaming, complete with an overnight success story that might not be as organic as it appears. And this is the guy who's got beef with Ross Scott's movement. Now that we know his background, things are about to make a lot more sense. The clash over stop killing games, plant versus passion. So why would Pirate Software, an indie game developer and content creator, oppose the stop killing games movement? On the surface, it seems bonkers. If you make games or play games, you'd want them preserved, right? Well, let's look at what Thor actually said and did, and it becomes pretty clear this was a clash of ideology, or perhaps interests. It's the industry plant mentality clashing with the grassroots gamer mentality. Around mid-2025, Ross Scott had been pushing SKG for over a year. The momentum has slowed a bit early in 2025. Getting people to care long-term is hard, as Ross admitted. Then out of nowhere, Pirate Software Thor decides to chime in with some harsh criticism of SKG. He essentially went on his platform. Remember, he's got big viewer numbers now. Told his audience that stop killing games is naive, unworkable, maybe even harmful to devs. He cast Ross's ideas as pie-in-the-sky nonsense that doesn't fit the modern gaming landscape. According to Thor, expecting companies to keep servers up or provide offline patches isn't realistic because always online is the way it is. Games flop all the time. We can't save them all, blah blah. He was basically parroting the same lines big game publishers use to shrug off responsibility. Like word for word, he sounded like an EA or Activision spokesman. It's naive to demand this. It would place burdens on developers, costs are too high, player safety, blah blah. In fact, not long after, an actual European game industry lobbying group put out a formal statement against SKG saying the exact same kind of stuff, that keeping games alive would be a burdensome limit on devs and costly, and that companies must remain free to pull the plug whenever it's not profitable. Thor and the lobbyists, same talking point.
Ross Scott did not take kindly to this. Here's Ross pouring his heart into this cause, and along comes Thor, another YouTuber with a big following, spreading what Ross called falsehoods about SKG. Ross felt Thor was misrepresenting what SKG was asking for. like claiming they want infinite support for games, which wasn't true, and thus undermining the whole movement. And because Thor had a sizable audience, this could really hurt the public perception of SKG. So what does Ross do? He claps back hard. Ross made a new video, somewhat ironically titled, "The End of Stop Killing Games," which people thought might be him giving up. But nope. In that video, Ross calls out Pirate Software by name, putting a chunk of the blame on him for SKG losing steam. Ross basically said, look, part of why this initiative stalled is because guys like Jason Thor Hall leveraged their big viewership to paint our goals as stupid and impossible. He laid out how Thor's narrative was harmful and wrong. This sparked a huge drama online. Thor wasn't gonna stay quiet after being called out. Oh no. He fired back on social media and maybe in another video, defending his stance, doubling down that SKG had issues. It turned into a tit-for-tat online, with response videos and posts flying around. To be honest, it became a bit like YouTuber beef, but with an actually important subject at the core. The wild part? This drama supercharged the SKG movement instead of killing it. The algorithm loves a good feud, so suddenly tons of new eyes were on Stop Killing Games. Big YouTubers who hadn't touched the topic started weighing in. Charles Moist Critical White Jr., aka Penguin Zero, one of the biggest commentary YouTubers, made a video about it, pulling in over 2 million views. Others like Louis Rossmann, Right to Repair advocate, talked about it. Basically, Thor inadvertently did what Ross alone couldn't do in a year: make SKG go viral. The Streisand effect hit hard. By trying to tear it down, Thor made everyone talk about it. Congrats, you played yourself, homie. Now, let's consider Thor's perspective for a second. Why was he so against SKG? He's a developer, so did he have some valid concerns? Possibly, yes. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. One issue that popped up, some idiots on the internet took the SKG cause too far and started review bombing and harassing game developers indiscriminately. In fact, Thor was connected to a publishing outfit called Off-Brand Games, founded by streamer Ludwig, which has some online games in its lineup. Apparently, a few bad actors from an SKG fan base went and trashed the Steam reviews of those games or sent hate, claiming righteousness for SKG. Now, that's not what Ross wanted anyone to do. Ross wasn't encouraging harassment, but you know how the internet is. Thor likely saw that and got defensive of devs, including maybe himself, since his own game is on Steam. So he publicly scorned SKG, perhaps thinking he's standing up for fellow developers who felt attacked. But here's the thing. Instead of handling it diplomatically, Thor handled it like a complete moron. He conflated the actions of a few trolls with the entire movement. He basically said, SKG is bad actually, it's hurting developers, and it's a dumb idea to begin with. And when push came to shove, rather than apologize or clarify his position, my dude went full villain mode. Thor's stance blew up in his face big time, homie. The gaming community, by and large, sided with Ross on this. I mean, of course they would. Most gamers are consumers, not game execs. We want our games preserved. So when Thor came out swinging against that, people responded by looking at him and his work with a critical eye. And they did not like what they saw. Remember Thor's indie game Heartbound? It's an off-brand Undertale clone-style RPG he's been developing for years. Well, folks started pointing out the hypocrisy. Here's a guy whining about burdens on devs and unrealistic expectations, but he can't even finish his own game in a reasonable time. Heartbound has been in early access on Steam since 2018. As of 2025, it's still unfinished, with very few updates in recent years. It actually went 13 months with no update at all at one point, causing Steam to flag it as abandonware basically. Only after that embarrassment did Thor scramble to push a tiny patch in 2025, seemingly just to reset the abandonment timer without adding meaningful content. Ro patched this game not to improve it, but to game the system again so it wouldn't wear the scarlet letter of abandon. If that ain't ironic, I don't know what is. He's preaching about developers' burdens while literally exemplifying a dev who abandoned a project people paid for. The pot calling the kettle black much? All this from a guy who level 3 Twitch simps refer to as a game dev god. Bruh, please.
Gamers noticed. They review bombed Heartbound on Steam around June 2025, tanking its rating. The complaints were a mix of dev bad mouse consumer movement, so screw them. And game is not getting finished, so screw them. It was open season on Pirate Software's reputation, and instead of damage controlling or apologizing, Thor went on stream and basically said, screw all y'all. No, literally, in a live broadcast. Faced with calls that he should post an apology or retraction for his SKG comments, Thor lost it. He ranted something along the lines of, put up a video saying I was wrong? I'm not doing that. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, no, eat shit.
Eat my entire ass, the whole thing. Sir, that is not gentlemanly behavior.
Mr. Family-friendly Dev literally told the gaming community, eat shit. He framed the very idea of apologizing as bending the knee and lying about how you feel, and essentially said everyone bullying him can F off. Talk about doubling, tripling down. Thor went full supervillain with zero remorse. If this were a cartoon, this is where Ross, angel on one shoulder, would be like, dude, chill. And the devil on the other shoulder would literally be Thor himself going, nah, fuck them all.
Eat my entire ass, the whole thing. Sir,
That clip of him saying, I don't give a fuck, eat shit, went viral. Suddenly, it wasn't just a niche gamer controversy, it was an internet moment. Even people who didn't care about SKG were like, who is this streamer telling viewers to eat shit? Critics labeled him arrogant and out of touch, and honestly, I can't blame them. The guy won a League of Their Own award at the 2024 Streamer Awards, essentially recognizing unique content. And mere months later, he's out here dissing his own community's interest and raging at the camera. The mighty have fallen, huh?
The consequences hit quick. Thor's own peers started distancing themselves. Remember Off-Brand Games, the company co-founded by big streamer Ludwig that Thor was involved with? Yeah, after this fiasco, Thor had to resign from Off-Brand. The backlash against him caused what he self-reported as a massive downturn in his project's user ratings. No kidding, bro. And it made him a liability to the company. Ludwig, who is known to be one of the nicest, most level-headed streamers, even tweeted in response to all this. Ludwig said, "Stop Killing Games is a good initiative, but a few bad actors review-bombed/harassed developers of the games we support at Off-Brand Games. Appreciate Thor stepping down for the betterment of the devs and their games." Oof. Read between the lines. That's a polite way of saying, we cut ties with this dude because he stirred up a shitstorm. When your friend and boss has to publicly thank you for quitting, you know you really messed up. Thor basically torched his own career momentum. The cool indie dev streamer image, gone. Now he's seen as the salty sellout who sided against gamers and then threw a tantrum when called out. And in a beautiful twist of karma, all of this only validated Ross Scott's cause. After Thor's implosion, Stop Killing Games came back stronger than ever. Ross's response video got hundreds of thousands of views. Petitions skyrocketed past their goals, and major media outlets, yes, even Kotaku and Times of India, picked up the story. By July 2025, SKG's main European petition blew past 1.2 million signatures, way beyond the threshold needed for EU consideration. More and more people realized, hey, this is actually important. Even the industry suits had to acknowledge the movement, albeit to fight it. Like I mentioned, a European industry lobbying group put out a whole 5-page rebuttal to SKG. Imagine being that scared of a bunch of gamers with a petition. Ubisoft CEO made dismissive comments, which only made him look bad when Ross pointed out how hostile to the consumer that attitude is. It's like the entire scenario proved Ross's point. The big guys don't care about us, and when one of their own, Thor, the industry-raised dev, tried to put us in our place, the community said, nah, we not having it. In short, Pirate Software, Thor opposed Stop Killing Games, presumably to defend the status quo of the industry and maybe his own interests. But all he did was shine a bigger spotlight on how out of touch that stance is. He unmasked himself as someone who, despite branding as an indie dev, was riding with the corporations more than with the gamers. And the community answered in kind by withdrawing their support from him. Thor went from hero to zero real quick.
Conclusion. Everything comes full circle. So here we are. End of the story. A passionate grassroots gamer stood up and said, "Stop killing our game." And an industry planted developer scoffed. Now that's dumb.
Thor does not understand what stop killing games is.
In the end, the passionate won the day. For now, and the plant withered. Why did Pirate Software oppose Stop Killing Games? Because, in my view, he embodied the industry mindset more than the gamer mindset. Despite wearing the indie dev badge, Thor's background, upbringing, and maybe even just personal comfort aligned him closer with the corporate perspective. The idea that games are products to be cycled and dumped when profits dry up. That expecting preservation is just some naive entitlement from the consumer base. He may also have been protecting his own. After all, some overzealous SKG supporters went after his work. But instead of empathizing with fellow gamers, people who just don't want their purchases nuked, he circled the wagons around a status quo that benefits him and his connections. In contrast, Ross Scott is that dude from the neighborhood, metaphorically, who made it big and didn't forget where he came from. He's still fighting for the little guy, for all of us who just want to play Time Splitters 2 or Left 4 Dead or whatever in 2030 without some damn server switch flipping us out of existence. Ross grew from a small YouTuber to a community leader because he stayed true to gamers. Pirate grew from a small streamer to a big one. But when the moment came, the moment to choose between the community's interest and the industry's convenience, he chose the latter. And it exposed him. This whole saga, it was like a damn Seinfeld episode the way it played out. Everything coming together in ways you didn't expect and suddenly making perfect sense. That seemingly unrelated side story, Pirate's dad being an OG Blizzard dev, yeah, that ended up being central. Because once you understand that, you understand why Pirate acted the way he did. The funny little detail, South Park making fun of his dad, that ended up symbolizing how far removed from gamer respect Pirate might be. I mean, he's cool with that? Then yeah, he clearly thinks differently. The jokes about industry plant? Yeah. Those hit real once you saw how fast Pirate blew up, and then how fast he got pulled back to earth. In my admiration for Ross Scott, which I opened with, now it comes full circle. Because Ross inspired me as a kid to get creative in the gaming space. And now, he's inspiring a new generation to stand up for our rights.
Meanwhile, Pirate Software, who might have once inspired some folks as a successful indie dev, now inspires people in a different kind of way, as a cautionary tale. Full circle. At the end of the day, the lesson is pretty clear. Don't sell out your fellow gamers. If you build your fame on the gaming community, don't turn around and tell that community their concerns are invalid, especially not in defense of corporations that literally don't care about us beyond our wallet. People will remember that. They already are. Thor thought he could play the role of the wise dev, telling the rabble to pipe down. Instead, he got metaphorically run out of town, at least for now. Ross, on the other hand, he stayed humble, he stayed persistent, and his efforts actually moved the needle. There's legislation being considered in everything. It's wild. So in the battle of angel versus demon, grassroots versus industry plant, who would you rather be?
I know whose side Ghost Squad's on. We ride with creators like Ross, who keep it real with the community. Pirate Software learned the hard way.
Cross the gamers at your own peril, especially when you're objectively in the wrong. Why would Pirate a post stop killing games? Probably because he thought like an industry insider and not a gamer, and he paid the price for that. In the immortal words of another internet legend, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Thor played, and oh boy, did he win a big old stupid prize. Peace, y'all. Go squad out. Stay wise, stay gaming, and as always, don't let them kill our games.